Hello guys and welcome back to my channel Firewall again. Today I come up with very important topic which is checkpoint firewall clustering and acceleration. The checkpoint acceleration and clustering software blades deliver a set of advanced technologies such as SecureXL and ClusterXL that work together to maximize performance and security in high performance environments. This works with Core Excel, which include with the blade containers like to form the foundation of the open performance architecture, which deliver throughput designed for data center applications and the high level of security needed to protect against today's application level threats. My objective with respect to this module is to build, test and troubleshoot ClusterXl in a load sharing deployment on an enterprise network, build, test and troubleshoot ClusterXl high availability deployment on an enterprise network, build, test and troubleshoot a management high availability deployment on enterprise network, configure, maintain and troubleshoot SecureXl and CoreXL acceleration solution on the corporate network traffic to ensure noted performance enhancement on the firewalls. So let's begin with clustering and acceleration. Let's understand few clustering terms. Number one, active up. When the high availability machine that was active and suffered a failure become available again, it returned to the cluster not as the active machine but as one of the standby machine in the cluster. That state we call as active up. Critical device, a device that the administrator has defined to be a critical to the operation of the cluster member. A critical device is also known as the problem notification pinote. Critical devices are constantly monitored. If a critical device stops functioning, this defines as a failure. A device can be hardware or a process. The FWD and CPHAD processes as well as the security policy itself are predefined by default as a critical device. The administrator can add to the list of critical device using command cpha probe. Next, failure, a hardware or a software problem that cause a machine to be unable to filter packets. A failure of an active machine lead to a failure, that is failure. Failover, a machine taking over packet filtering in a place of another machine in the cluster that suffer a failure, that we call failover. Next is high availability, HA, the ability to maintain a connection when there is a failure by having another machine in the cluster take over the connection without any loss of connectivity. We call it HA. This is as opposed to your load sharing. In load sharing case, only the active machine filters the packets. One of the machine in the cluster is configured as an active machine. If a failure occurs on the active machine, one of the other machine in the cluster assumes its responsibilities. Next is your hot standby, also known as active standby. It has the same meaning as we explain on in high availability. Next is cluster control protocol. We also call it CCP, which is used specifically for the clustered environment to allow for a gateway to report their own state and learn about the state of the other members in the cluster. It is the essential means by which cluster synchronization works in order to provide failover in the event an active member goes down. Please note there is no need to add a rule to rule base that accepts CCP packets or CCP. When clustering is configured on the gateways, an implied rule is already provisional and which is added. State synchronization traffic typically makes up around 90% of all cluster control protocol traffic. State synchronization packets are distinguished from the rest of the CCP traffic via an opcode in the UDP data header. Let's understand what is ClusterXl. A network and security professional, as we are network and security professional, we are often required to consider the need of an organization and weigh them against available resources to provide a most cost-effective solution. Often this required addressing risk management without significantly increasing the cost. A direct result from the risk assessment is often the concern of the hardware backups and the resource utilization due to the increased network traffic. To address this, we have the clustering solution, which is provided by the Check Point firewall. We call it as a ClusterXl, which ensures the security gateway and the VPN connectivity. VPN connections are kept alive in a corporate network in a critical to maintain business requirement as usual. The failure of a security gateway or a VPN connection can result in the loss of the active connection and access to critical data. As network security expert, it is our responsibility to maintain our network always up to date with the business critical devices. So ClusterXl supplies an infrastructure that ensures that no data is lost in a case of system failure. Essentially, a ClusterXl or cluster is a group of identical security devices which connected in such a way that if one fails, another immediately takes its place. Check Point ClusterXl provides both the load sharing and high availability solutions. High availability ensures gateway and VPN redundancy for a transparent failover between the machines, and load sharing provides reliability and enhancement performance because all cluster members are active at the same time. Please note, ClusterXl must be installed in a distributed configuration in which the security management server and the cluster members are on a different machine. ClusterXl is a part of the standard security gateway installation. Both plug and play and evaluation licenses include the option to work with these three ClusterXl load sharing cluster management by the same security management server. ClusterXl uses unique physical IP and a MAC address for the cluster members and virtual IP addresses to represent the cluster itself. Virtual IP addresses do not belong to an actual machine interfaces. Those are the virtual IPs. Let's understand cluster synchronization. In order to make sure each gateway cluster member is aware of the connections going through the other members, a mechanism called state synchronization exists, which allows status information about the connection on the security gateway to be shared between the members. State synchronization enables all machines in the cluster to be aware of the connection passing through each of the machine. It ensures that if there is a failure in a cluster member, connection that were handled by the failed machine will be maintained by the other machine. Please note, every IP-based service including TCP and UDP recognized by the security gateway and is synchronized. Let's understand state synchronization works, how it works. Usually state synchronization works in two modes: full synchronization, and delta synchronization. In full synchronization, transfers all firewall kernel table information from one cluster member to another. So whenever failover occurs, all the firewall kernel table information and the other details are get transferred to the other member. And full synchronization handled by the daemon, which is called FWD daemon, using an encrypted TCP connection, whereas delta synchronization transfers changes in the kernel table between cluster members. Only the changes which are newly happen or which are not sync, those changes only pass to the new active member using the delta synchronization. Delta sync is handled by the firewall kernel using UDP multicast or a broadcast on a port 8116. So full synchronization is used for initial transfer of state information for many thousands of connections. If a cluster member brought up after failing down, it will perform full sync. So if the cluster member is down and it come up after its down state, then please note the full synchronization take place. Once all members are synchronized, only updates are transferred via delta sync. Delta sync is much quicker than full sync. Now let's understand something on a secure this sync interface. Since the synchronization network carries the most sensitive security policy information in the organization, it is critical to protect it against both malicious and unintentional threats. Check Point recommends securing the synchronization interface either by using dedicated sync interface network or connecting the physical network interface of the cluster member directly using the crossover cable in the cluster having 3 or more members as a hub or switch. So HA cluster in HA state is very common, and we all know how it works and how it is in a how the gateways are in active and standby status. Now let's see how the clustering work in a load sharing mode. In a load sharing gateway cluster, all cluster members are active, so it brings significant performance advantages. Using multiple gateway instead of a single gateway increases linear performance for CPU intensive applications such as VPNs, security servers, policy servers, and smart directory like LDAP. There are 2 available modes which works in a load sharing deployment. One is your multicast and another one is your unicast. Machine in a ClusterXl load sharing configuration must be synchronized. Machine in a ClusterXl high availability configuration do not have to be synchronized, as one machine is only processing the traffic, but in a load sharing both the machines are processing the traffic. So if they are not in a HA, well, okay. Connection only failover in a HA clustering when the failover occurs. Let's understand unicast load sharing first. In a ClusterXl load sharing unicast mode, one machine called the pivot, which receives all the traffic from a router with a unicast configuration and redistributed the packet to the other machine in a cluster. The pivot machine is chosen automatically by the ClusterXl. The pivot is the only machine that communicates with the router. In this scheme, the router uses only the pivot's unicast MAC address to communicate to the cluster. The pivot function as a cluster router for both from the internal network outwards and vice versa. This functionality also applies to the DMZ network. After the pivot first receive the packet from the router or a switch, the pivot's load sharing decision function decides which cluster member should handle the packet. This decision function is made in a similar fashion to the regular multicast load sharing decision. We will look into that also. The pivot may also decide to handle the packet itself. In such case, pivot load sharing will hand the packet to the pivot's firewall components. Let's understand this while looking with this example. If you see the packets, number one, the router send an ARP request to the cluster IP address. The pivot returns an ARP reply with its own unicast MAC address to the router. The router sends the packet to the pivot. The pivot forwards the packet to the designated cluster member without changing the packet. The destination IP address of the packet remains unchanged, and neither decryption or a NAT functionality is performed on the forwarded packet. When sending the packet, the pivot uses MAC address of the designation cluster member. The packet is forwarded through the original interface. Packet 5 or step 5, the cluster member that receives the forwarded packet performs the inspection and sends the packet to its destination. The return packet goes through the same process, although it may not necessarily be forwarded by the pivot to the same cluster member. The process of the return packet is like the return packet first reaches the pivot, which assign the cluster member to handle the packet. The packet is forwarded to the cluster member for the security gateway inspection, and the cluster member sends the packet to its destination. If you read this slide, it's also the self-explanatory how the packet travel in a unicast load sharing clusters. Now let's understand multicast load sharing. In a ClusterXl load sharing multicast mode, every member of the cluster receive all of the packet sent to the cluster IP address. When router or layer 3 switch forward a packet to all of the cluster member using multicast, a ClusterXl decision algorithm on all cluster member decides which cluster member should perform enforcement processing on the packet. Only that machine processes the packet and sends the packet to the destination. The other machine drop the packets. But please note, however, only router or a layer 3 switches that accept multicast MAC address as a response to an ARP request with a unicast IP address, which are supported by this functionality. So this is all about the methods or a mode used in a ClusterXl in a load sharing. Now let's see how the packets gets travel, and those are sticky. So there is something called sticky connection. So sticky connections, a connection is sticky when the connection considered as sticky when all of its packets are handled in either direction by a single cluster member. This is the case in a high availability mode where all connections are routed to the same cluster member. In a load sharing mode, there are cases where it's necessary to ensure that a connections that start on a specific cluster member will continue to be processed by the same cluster member in both directions. To end, certain connections can be made sticky by enabling this sticky decision function. So guys, this is all about the clustering solution what we have from the Check Point firewall. So if you like my video and if you found my videos contents effective and informative, so please subscribe my channel and press bell icon so that you won't be miss my upcoming latest videos and the updates. Thanks for watching this video and have a wonderful day ahead. So guys, let's log into the MDS. I'm just putting my password, login. Just wait for a minute so it launches. Okay, so you have to log into the MDS, proceed, initializing services, loading data, launching the applications. So we already installed our gateways. Now we are going to do the thick communication between the gateways so that management server and the gateway will communicate to each other. So if you see on my screen, you are able to see we have one MDS server with IP address 192.168.1.254. So basically how MDS is work, MDS is your multi-domain server. So here you need to create a different domains, and those domains actually give you the the visibility in terms of smart dashboard and their GUI applications. So first step, you have to create the domains. These domains are nothing but your smart servers, smart management servers. So let's see how to create that. It's very simple. If you see here, just go here, come here, say domain. Okay, enter the domain name. I am giving it as a say SMS1. Give the SMS1 and I'll give the VSX1. I will add domain details, server details. So multi-domain server MDS1, where we are configuring this thing. The domain name will be the SMS1 VSX1, and the name will be the SMS1 VSX1 server. Okay. The IP address, you have an option here to define the range. I mean, you can give the IP address from here, or you can give it from the MDS domain range. I'll show you that option first before coming here. If you go to MDS, and here if you say edit, here if you see there is IPv4 address which is your domain address. Trust is established, and there is an option called multi-domain. Here you can define the range 192.168, say 1.I20, and the last IP address is 192.168.1.30. So the SMS or the domain which we will going to create will take a IP from this range only. Okay, login settings and everything I will keep it as the default. So click OK here. Okay, it's taking time. Okay, it's done. Now again come back here. See here, it's showing something like session 1 has made some changes. So let's publish it so that it will be active when we are going to create our domain. Now we will create our domain. Say domain. Now give the domain name, say sms1-vsx1. Now add here. As I said, you can give the IP address, or if you want, it will take it from the range. Okay, so this is the first IP address it took. If you create one more domain, it will take the next IP address. So it's up to you how you want to configure. Then OK. Now go to the trusted client who will access this domain or SMS. So you can restrict it to the your admin IPs, admin systems, but for the demo purpose I am putting it as any. Okay, just say add. Okay, let's close it. It's here. Additional information, it's like if you want to give the name of the admin and everything, you can give it here. I don't bother about it for now for the demo purpose, so I'm just saying okay. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, and see, this is done. Okay, it's in the process. Let me show you. If you see here, see, this is creating the domain, and I'm again saying the domain is nothing but your SMS. Okay, I'll be creating another video where it will explain you all the concepts of MDS. I got this requirements from multiple engineers that is okay, create a lab video and we wanted to see how this MDS work and the VSX works and the upgrades perform on this VSX and MDS. I already created one video where you see how you can do the upgrade for the MDS. Now this series is a VSX series where you will be able to see the VSX upgrade. So guys, please stay tuned, and I'm requesting you, if you have not subscribed my channel, so please subscribe my channel, because I wanted you all to be very good at the checkpoint firewall and grow accordingly. So if you not subscribe my channel, you won't be able to get the latest and upcoming videos on the checkpoint world. So yeah, please subscribe my channel. Okay, now let's continue on this video. Okay, it's creating the domain. Okay, one more thing I wanted to tell you. If you want to create lab and play on there is no much I mean, there is no more requirement for that. You can create the lab using few gigabyte of hard disk and few gigabyte of RAM. I have a video posted, but that is more of into giving you details in terms of how you can create your lab within 8 gigabyte of RAM and only 200 gigabyte of memory space room. So if you like, you can go ahead and watch those videos and see how can you can create those things. Here the more focus is on the VSX and MDS and the upgrade part of the VSX. So let's wait for a couple of minutes to complete this domain creation. Usually it takes hardly 1 or 2 minutes to get completed, but now it's taking a bit time. So guys, please bear with me. Also guys, I have posted a lot of videos on different concepts of checkpoint firewall. The concepts I have trying to bring in, those are like very core level concept of the checkpoint firewall. So most of the time you won't be able to see those concepts the videos you are watching. So go ahead and watch those concept videos where you will see what is secure XL, what is core XL, how you can do the VPN troubleshooting, and many more things. Also I'll be creating a lot of more videos on different concepts on the checkpoint firewall, and those videos are like very in depth in terms of the checkpoint firewall world. So again I'm saying, please subscribe my channel and stay tuned with my videos. So I will assure you you know in a few days time, and watching my videos will be very good at the checkpoint firewall, and you able to resolve a lot of problems related to the checkpoint firewall, and you able to easily configure this firewall. And as per my experience, the checkpoint firewall is the best firewall so far what we have in the market. And there is huge requirement for the checkpoint engineer. who is good at the checkpoint firewall. So if you want to earn well, uh, of course the checkpoint firewall is your best buddy, to be honest. Okay, now it's 90%. 90% got created. Awesome. If you see, it's got created 100% now, and you will be able to see here. All right, this is your domain, and guys, this is the global domain. The global domain has the concept where you can configure whatever things in a global domain that you can push to different domains from the single handed. uh, I have a small video. It's like a 5 minutes video on a global domain. Just go ahead and watch that video and see how the policy we create on a global firewall, or sorry, global domain, and we can push into these different domains, right? So for now, I have created one uh, domain SMS. Let's jump and log into this. You have to just right click to it and say connect, and in background you will be able, yeah, in background you will be able to connect this SMS easily. All right, it's now, if you see my screen, it's getting connected to 192.1.20. So again, one more point, like, because of people don't know about this concept, so they might think like we need to have a separate OS for the SMS and everything. So it's not like that. MDS has the purpose to give you this domains, you know and of course, one important thing, depending on your license, the license usually gives you authority to how many domains you will configure, right? According to that, you can uh, uh, I mean, according to the license, you have a number of domains, that much you can configure. So for the trial license, we'll be creating one or two domains, or maybe this trial license give you more, but for this lab the two domains will be sufficient. But keep in mind, looking at the license, you will be able to see how many domains you can configure. Okay, now proceed. Now let's see. So this is now initializing the services to the domain, and it will be get connected. One more important thing I wanted to tell you here, like what I have seen in my work sort of environment. Sometimes whenever you connect your domain from the MDS, like the way I am just connecting, you are not able to get connected and it get failed. Okay, that was the basic thing we need to address first, is that we need to have the relevant ports which involve to have this communication take place. The policy for those ports need to be allowed in the gateways. Okay, to get this thing sorted, what you need to do, you have to give your source IP as your MDS or your jump server IP address, and destination IP address of address is your domain IP address. I'm talking about the lock server. What you gonna put the filter? Source is your MDS or the jump server. Destination is your domain IP address, and you have to see the traffic over there. If the gateway is blocking the traffic on a particular port, you need to allow those particular ports into your policy, and then you're good to go, right? Okay, so we just reach to this SMS inside the smart dashboard. Let's do this. Now next step is you need to go for your SIG communication between the gateways from this SMS. So for that, see here, you have to come here and there is option. If you want to do the simple gateway, you have to select this gateway, or if you want to do the clustering, you can do this clustering like with the simple gateway. But this lab is particularly for the VSX, so just come here VSX, and what you want to achieve here. If you want to just do the simple communication, or you want to form the cluster, it's up to you. See, I can do the simple communication and then form cluster. It will again take time and it will again involve multiple videos. So for a time being, what I'm going to do, I'll directly go ahead and create a cluster, and it will be easy for you guys also, to see. So I'm creating a cluster, and while creating the cluster, it will ask me for the SIG communication, right? Let's give the name VSX1, IP address 192.168.1.10, which we have configured for our gateways. Select the basic cluster platform. So here is Checkpoint Secure Platform ClusterXl, Checkpoint ClusterXl Virtual System Load Sharing, Cross-Beam System, Checkpoint XO. Those are the old ones. So depends like how configuration you want. If you want this thing in a virtual system load sharing mode, it's also called as a VSLS. Sorry, VSLS. Yeah, that's true. And it's like cluster in a active state. I mean your cluster and the gateways, they both will be active at the same time. Or if you want to configure in HA mode, you can go ahead and configure like that. Okay, with the option they given Checkpoint Secure Platform ClusterXl. They have to change the name here, Secure Platform, because it is no more Secure Platform. So for this uh, uh, lab, we'll go ahead with the ClusterXl HA. Okay, I have another video where I have configured the same thing in a virtual system load sharing mode. So if you want to see that part also, I'll put a link in the description. Go ahead and watch that video, and you will be understand how it's configured. Okay, let's do this. Okay, with this. Okay, that is fine. We don't have IP address, IPv6. Okay, got stuck somewhere. All right. So we don't have IPv6. That is fine. Next, shared interface. Sorry, separate interface configuration interface. Virtual system creation template. Shared interface. All virtual system creators will be shared a single external interface and have a separate interface. Interface. Separate interface. Each virtual system creator will have its own separate external and internal interface. So depending on your environment, whatever you have to select this option. Basically, separate interface gives you flexibility where you can define your external and internal interface separately, and those are for different every time with respect to your whatever the VSX gateway you are configuring or virtual systems you are going to configure. Okay, uh, so for this lab, I'm going to select this all virtual system creator will be share a single external interface and I have a separate internal interface. But if you want to see this option, I have a video already. I told you that video for the VSX. I have selected this option and you will see how it works. Okay, now say next. Here, define the member of this VSX cluster member. So let's define that. Okay, I made one mistake. I'll show you what I have made. So here I have given the name, I have given the IP address of my gateway. Actually this is a virtual IP address. So I am giving as a 12. 12 is the virtual IP address. Consider 10 is the first gateway IP address and 11 is the second one, and 12 is your virtual IP address. Sorry for that guys. So now here we come back. Let's go next. Now add the gateways. The gateway name is like a gateway 1, or I will say VSX1, and IP address is 192.168.1.10, and activation key, the activation key we have given at the time of creation of this gateway, and initialize. So process established. So guys, also remember, you don't have to get confused that the VSX gateway, as the name suggests, VSX, it is some sort of different OS or different gateway you need to have. It's not like that. You need to have the same gateway OS what we generally download for the normal gateway, but it's how you create it. Okay. Now say okay. Now let's add the another one. Say cluster member name VSX2, then IP address 192.168.1.11. Give the activation key, the one which we have set up while creating the gateway. Say initialize, it's got trusted. Okay, now next. Now it will ask the VSX cluster interface, physical interface you uses. Select the interfaces you want to use as a VLAN trunk. So we all know the VLAN interfaces connect the virtual system to the VLAN switch or the to the router. So if you wanted to have the your interface which is connecting to the switch, you can define here, or you can define which interface is connected as a VLAN trunk. So what do you mean by VLAN trunk? Is something the traffic which all VLAN traffic is passing using this interface. So for example, if you have a switch and that switch is connected to your gateway and only one cable is there from where you have to pass all the traffic related to the different VLANs what we are going to configure on your gateway, that interface you have to select as a VLAN trunk. Okay, so here I am selecting, for example, say management interface, but I think when I select management interface as a VLAN trunk, it will give me an error, so I will not select that. Let's select ETH1 as your VLAN trunk. Let's see how it goes. Okay, select the interface that will use as a state synchronization. This is for the clustering purpose. So let's see interface 3. Alright, it's asking for the IP address. Give any IP address. I'm giving like 10.1.1.1. The mask is 255.255.255.0. So this IP address is something where your clustering syncing will happen. Okay, so in a real life world, according to your topology, you have to give the IP address. But for now, for the demo purpose, I am giving any IP address. Keep in mind. So 255.255. Sorry. 255.255.255.0. Next. Now select the interface which used to be all virtual system for external communication. So virtual systems which we are going to configure, and from those virtual systems will take which interface as the exist interface. We need to define that. If you don't know the virtual system what it is, a virtual system is a virtual security and a routing domain that provides the functionality of a security gateway. So it's like a security gateway only, having the routing and security capabilities with them. So it's like a separate firewall only. Okay, or a gateway which gives you fully firewall functionality and the VPN facilities. Multiple virtual system can be run on concurrently on a single VSX gateway. So on a one VSX gateway you can create a multiple virtual systems. So that's what it's asking. If you create a more than one virtual system, from which virtual system which interface it will take to get that exit path. As I shown you the other option, that it was asking which select the shared interface. So we have selected one. That's why it's taking the one interface as the external part. But if you want to have your virtual system to take a different path for every time going out, for example, ETH1 is taking for the VS1 and ETH2 is taking for the VS2. So that option you have to select when we start with this configuration. So now I'm giving it as a say. Management interface, no, it's not management, it's ETS2. Next, you can't select the management interface because that is a dedicated interface to communicate with your MDS. Okay, these are the VSX cluster management specify the management access rules. So if you whatever the rules you are going to select is by default imposed, on your gateway. So you have to as per your requirement you have to select. By default you will get any drop, but before that if you want to allow some certain ports like SNMP, SSH, ICMP, SCTPS, so you have to select. For here I am selecting all. Source is any, and destination is your gateway. So this is nothing but your stealth rule kind of thing. So whichever the things you are allowing to hit to your gateway, but the only thing is that the source is any here. You can define whichever source you want to hit. Okay, so this is nothing but the admin rule. If you don't know about what is the stealth rule and what is this cleanup rule, just watch my video. I have given very good explanation on that as well. Okay, now if you want to create a source new object, you can create. Okay, for lab purpose I'm just giving whatever I'm saying here. Okay, next, you are allowed all the things. That's what it's saying. Yes, continue, and let's finish. So now, okay, view report, something is gone wrong. No operation report available. Awesome. You have finished the configuration, but no report is error. Operation ended with error. But what is the error? Okay. So here we are communication as your trunk. Let's see. We don't have anything here defined as a trunk, or we are not creating the VLAN. So I'm not giving anything. Let's see. Okay. 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 Okay, let's finish it up. Okay, you have finished operation. View report. Operation condition. Yeah. Why? Why? Communicating. Everything is look good. Here is also look good. Let's give the IP address of our range. For example, 192.168. One dot, but it will again give you error. So let's keep it with the same 10.1.1.1. Next, thread interface which will use to virtual system connect the external. Let's select this. Let's see what happens. Still giving an error. Okay, I think that is some issue with the VSX, I believe. Because I don't think so. Let's finish it. Okay, click the finish button on initial process. Where we are going wrong, all virtual system creatable the shaping interface, that is fine. This is your option. He is already used. Okay. So guys, let me rectify this and I'll again join you. Okay, so just few changes I made. Let's say it works. What I did, I just selected the same thing. The only thing is that here the IP address 192.168.1.25. That is what I have given. Initially, I think I have given the SMS IP address over here as a VSX cluster IP address. So sorry for that. That was my mistake. Let's go next. Next, the cluster is established. Now I'm not selecting any VLAN trunk here because we are not sharing any VLANs from our gateway, or we are not creating any gateway sorry VLANs. Next, let's see, select the interface that we'll use as a state synchronization. Let's give ETH3 and quickly give the IP address 10.1.1.1 and net mask 255.255.255.0. Next IP address 10.1.1.2 and net mask 255.255.255.0. Next, okay, select the interface with use as a virtual system for external interface. Let's select as a ETH1 as the external interface. Select all the rules by default. Okay, now next, yes, I have select any. Now let's finish it. Okay, now it's getting in progress. I think the IP address which I have given to this cluster was the management IP address. Because of that, it got failed, but it was not showing us everywhere that that IP address you have selected is used somewhere. So always, guys, keep in mind, don't be in a hurry while you're configuring all these things. You need to select the correct IP addresses, and you should have your IP addresses in front of you, so you will be able to select right IP addresses. So now it's creating and installing the default policy which we have created, and I believe it will work now. Let's wait for a couple of minutes and let's see how it goes. This video will be little bit longer than the other videos because I am trying to give you collect all the features with the VSX, and I'm setting each and everything on that. So I don't want you guys to wait for another video to come up to see the next things. So guys, just bear with me. Let's see. Once this VSX policy gets installed, we'll be creating the virtual system as well, and once that is created, we'll show you the clustering. Few terms, few definition I wanted to tell you while this operation gets progress. One, virtual system I have just referred. There is something called virtual system in a bridge mode. That is something like a virtual system in a bridge mode implemented a native layer 2 bridging instead of the IP routing. Usually, if you want to have your virtual systems only communicate and mirror the traffic, and just see the how the traffic is passing from without doing any sort of layer 3 activities on it, there is an option which is called virtual system in a bridge mode. Alright, this lets you easily and transparently deploy a virtual system in an existing network environment and topology, and without reconfiguring your routing schema. So if you wanted to have a new virtual system placed in between your existing virtual system and which will not impact your existing environment, for that you are good to use this option, virtual system in a bridge mode. While configuring the virtual system, I'll be showing you where it is, but for now just understand the concepts. Next, virtual system load sharing, VSLS. It is load sharing offers significant performance advantage while providing failover for individual virtual systems using multiple gateways instead of a single gateway, which significantly improves your performance and VPN capabilities and security server policy installation, LDAP services, everything. So Those are like, checkpoint firewall. If you configure the cluster, those are in active mode. Like that, in a VSX world, you can configure your virtual systems in a active state, and that term they refer it as VSLS. This is very often question asked during the uh, uh, checkpoint firewall interviews. What is this VSLS? So it's simple term, but very important thing. And there is one more thing which I just explained. I have shown you that dedicated management interface. Uh, we call it as a DMI. That is a checkpoint recommended that you can use DMI for the management traffic only, which segregate your management traffic from routing your production traffic. I mean, from the way the different way from your production traffic, which usually enhance your performance and the end user experience altogether. So right now it's pushing your policy and switch to pushing external virtual switch configuration. So we don't have anything like a virtual switch and anything. I mean like that. So don't bother about this thing. It's just the part of the policy push configuration. And also, if you see here, you will see there is a cluster already creation. Took place. VSX cluster. Okay, reinstalling the default policy. VSX cluster VSX. Okay, let's get reinstalled. Okay, taking time, but it's worth to watch. Okay, now the operation got completed successfully. Just close this part and you will be seeing the virtual cluster configuration here. You are seeing this cross mark. I believe this is because of your licenses thing. Same, okay, you can see on a screen as well. If you don't have a VSX license, it gives a cross, but okay, now it's come up green. That means the trial license is working for us. So without wasting time, let's create the virtual systems for this virtual gateways. The option is from here only. Just go to the VSX, come to the virtual system, and it will ask you the name. I'll just give a new like virtual system 1, and this is the important thing. So if you have a multiple VSX gateway configure, and if you want to have that virtual system to configure or pass from a particular VSX gateway or a cluster, you have to select this option. And as I remember, I told you the definition of the virtual system in a bridge mode. It is this one. If you select this option, this virtual system will configure without routing functionalities, right? And there is something called virtual creation template. Create a virtual. If you want to have a similar sort of template for the rest of the virtual systems, you can configure the same here. So let's click next. Now here, I will explain you about the serial interface. It is ETH1 where from the traffic will go out. For this virtual system, you need to give the IP address. Just give the IP address which is in our range. I'm just giving say 50. Network mask 255.255.255.0. Default gateway is optional. I am not giving it, but as per your configuration, whatsoever it is, the next hop will be your switch or the router, whichever it is for this virtual system. You have to give that default gateway here, right? We don't have IPv6, so I am skipping that. Internal interface is extender. So you have flexibility to configure the internal interface. So we have ETH2 pending. And the VLAN tag, if you have any VLAN configuration for this, if you have multiple VLANs need to be here, you can give those VLAN tags here. Let's give IP address to the internal interface. Internal interface IP address should be the different one. So let's give 172.168.16.1.1. Okay, I'm giving any random IP address. So you can give whatever you like, but for the lab purpose I'm giving this IP address 255 0. Let's see. Okay, next, and just finish. This is the simplest way to create a virtual system, guys. Now it will create the virtual systems. You can create a multiple virtual systems one by one. Just wait for the process to be created. It take hardly few minutes, not a few minutes, few seconds to uh, get created this virtual system. Okay, operation is in progress. Let's wait. Okay, taking some time. I think it will take a minute or two max, because it's again a different sort of gateways you are creating. All right, generating the virtual system topology. Establishing the trust. Okay, it's completed. If you want to see the report, you can see all the phases from here, but we are good, so just close it. Now let's see if we can create one more virtual system quickly. Virtual system, say vs2, sorry, vs2. Okay, next, give the IP address 192.168.1.51, net mask 255.255.255.0. Okay, internal IP address, interface. Okay, so now we don't have a interface left, so I won't be able to show you the more virtual system creation. But if I go back to the virtual system and you know add interfaces from here, okay, it will show you those things. I mean those interfaces here. But for this demo purpose, we required at least a one virtual system. We just wanted to see how the load balance, I mean the active passive things or active standby things happens. And the main purpose of this demo is your upgradation of the or upgrade part of the virtual system, not a virtual system, or VSS gateway. So I'm just skipping this part, and for now guys,